is it that wants you to be morbidly obese and physically sick? Is it little old farmers or is it the food industry? It's got to be them farmers. Hello there, you 5.7 million awakening wonders. Thank you for joining us on this voyage to truth. It's choppy waters out there, let me tell you. It's never straightforward, and there be dragons. But as long as we're together, subscribed, notified, and connected, we have a chance against the behemoths, the Goliaths, the monsters that swarm around us. I've had a fantastic time this week at my community festival. You should sign up for my mailing list if you want to hear about future events of this nature. While there, Vandana Shiva explained to me how the food industry has long had an concealed intention to make us sick, fat, poorly and ill, to create monocultures and mono people, bland, sick, ill people. So the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry can almost work hand in hand. You make them sick, we make them better. Or sicker, then they can have a hamburger to make themselves better. Or sicker, then you can have some of those tablets, makes you feel better. Or sicker. I'm being a little bit reductive, but isn't that, after all, part of what I do? This conversation is a beautiful explication of the way that the food industry works, like any other centralized, powerful industry. In order to get maximum profits, and perhaps for reasons that are too occultist, obscure, and peculiar for me to yet understand, food surely should be healthy, tasty, good for you. Those are the kind of minimum expectations. How did we get into a situation where the food we eat makes us sick? Stay to the end of this fantastic conversation with Vandana Shiva. You will learn something. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it, because we learn from your comments. We make this content based on what you feel. Stay to the end.
Stop it there, and welcome to Mika Reaction Reviews. Reaction review to things on the internet. Same day, same shirt, different video. And today we are reacting to Russell Brand and this beautiful Indian woman. I can't remember her full name, but I'll put it on the screen. I've heard her speak out before, especially when the big protests in India was going on, and she spoke out, you know, during the global issue, the virus that we've all experienced, some more than others. I've already watched this video, just to be transparent. I watched it a while ago. It's been sitting in my phone in the download for a long time. I have so many videos I have to catch up with, guys. But when I watched this video, I feel like it was one of the best videos I've seen Russell Brand do in a long time. I mean, all his videos are really good, but one of the ones that really, for some reason, spoke to me, especially his guest. Life shouldn't always be serious. You don't always have to look at everything with such a serious lens, but I do think our culture just doesn't pay enough attention to things, and I think that's why we find ourselves where we are now, and people look around and go, how did we get here? And I think people really underestimate the importance of your diet, what you put in your body, what you feed yourself. There's more literature every day coming out about how your gut health is extremely important and how it affects your mental health, your psychological health, and your emotional health. So if your food is completely stripped of all its nutrients, even if you're eating something that's supposed to be healthy, but you're not even taking any nutrients in, you don't really think that's ever going to affect your body or your mental health or your psychological health. A lot of people feel like if it was my diet or if it was food, then my doctor would just tell me instead of giving me a pill or medications. Doctors are experts in medicine. That is their expertise. They're not necessarily experts in nutrition or diet. And so I think people think my doctor would have just told me, and now that we're living in this whole fat acceptance, fat positivity culture, you're not even necessarily allowed to do that anymore without being called out and being called fat phobic. You know, I've gone through my own health journey. Like, I have a gluten intolerance, I was hyperglycemic, and I got really sick like a couple years ago, and it was what I was eating. And I used to deal really badly with mental health, and I think it was a combination of things, but I think one of the things was my diet. And one of the things about my diet is I was having too much sugar. People don't realize how bad sugar is, and that even the sugar industry is the ones that kind of paid and pushed the idea of that food pyramid so you can keep consuming sugar. It's not just pure sugar I'm talking about, it's also simple carbs that breaks down too quickly in your body, and it usually turns into sugar. Sugar is in pretty much all processed food. It's like in everything. And so anyway, like, what she's going to talk about is so amazing. I do implore you to listen to the end, like Russell Brand said, because I don't know, I just found the video very intriguing myself. So we're going to get right back into it. Please like, comment, subscribe if you like these videos, and please hit the bell to get the notifications when I do upload, and we're going to get back into the video. Here you go.
The idea that the current Dutch farm protest could somehow align with an ecologically oriented protest movement seems at this stage antithetical, because even in the framing, Vandana, it's like, if you watch on normal news, it will say, what's happening is these farmers, they're maniacs. They want to use fertilizer that's bad for the earth, and we've introduced this global regulation that's going to, for Mother Earth, prevent that. And so it's very difficult for that conversation to get off the ground. When you say there that that you believe that leaders get their instruction from corporations, even still, this is regarded as the terrain of the conspiratorial. People, if you say stuff like that, other than you actually, perhaps because you've bothered to learn some facts first, like when people say stuff like that, it's dismissed. People find it hard to engage in that. People find it hard to engage in the idea that it's literally true, that democracy is redundant, almost irrelevant, that power takes place at a globalist level, that politicians are to some degree appointed by corporations, and the idea that an agenda that is supportive of the needs of human beings and of nature could be pursued is like, people have kind of forgotten it.
Yeah, but I think the erasure of memory is intentional. And that's why everywhere history is being rewritten. That's why before it is rewritten to make us forget, we must connect. Yeah, that's what I did in India. I worked with the farmers to remember that 1857 revolt against the East India Company, which shut the East India Company down, was a bread revolt. You know, farmers were being killed for not paying the taxes that were killing them. And so the farmers said, we'll reclaim our bread and our freedom. And because they were being arrested and killed, when they talked, they started to give bread to each other. And that's how the movement spread. When we had to launch the movement for seed freedom, I went back to Gandhi and his spinning wheel. He said, there was an empire of cotton where we were being impoverished, our farmers were dying. What did we do? We started to spin our own cloth. And I said, growing your own seed, growing your own food today is the freedom of today. And those who say these are conspiracy, well, just look at the rules of WTO and globalized free trade. Who wrote the intellectual property agreement of WTO? Monsanto, they admitted it. Who wrote the agreement on agriculture that's destroyed all the self-reliance and food sovereignty of people? You know, everyone's talking about the Ukraine war and Russia. But the reason African countries are hungry is because their ability to produce their food was destroyed by the right to dump by Cargill. Cargill wrote the agreement on agriculture. And then the junk food industry, the Pepsis and Cokes and Nestle's, wrote the sanitary and phytosanitary agreement and created the Codex Alimentarius to shut down healthy food and pushed the food that gave us illnesses, 75% chronic diseases. This is not a conspiracy. There is evidence that the corporations wrote the rules. Then it created the billionaires. Now the billionaires rule the world. And I call them the 1%, not because they're 1%, they're just a handful. And when you ask me, you know, what's the optimism? For me, the optimism is a pathetic group of ignorant, selfish men are not more powerful than all the people who've occupied the palace of the president in Sri Lanka. The farmers who've occupied the streets of Netherlands. People have power. We've been made to think we are inert. We've been made to think nature is inert. And all it is a colonization of our mind. The minute we become free and say, we are part of nature, we are creative, and we are powerful. Powerful in a different way. Powerful in the way of Shakti. Powerful in the way of non-violent resistance, of absolutely refusing to be colonized.
Stopping it there. I love what she's saying. I agree with everything she's saying. And it is sad that when you talk like this, people just dismiss it as, oh, that's just far-reaching, that's just conspiracy. And I truly think it's just because people don't want to change. Like, it's a lot of work to try to change your mindset. It is a lot of work to change even your diet or your lifestyle. It's a lot of work to change what you do, your perspective and your perception. And so a lot of people rather just like, well, even if I'm blind, deaf, and stupid, I'd rather just be blind, deaf, and stupid because I don't want to take life that seriously. Or I don't want to have to think about it, or my life is already hard enough and I already have all these other things to think about, so I don't want to think about that. So they dismiss it as conspiracy or far-reaching or whatever. But again, it's not a conspiracy. It's a lot of facts, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of evidence, there's a lot of history out there about this. And I love how she brought up like being self-sufficient, being able to grow your own food and take care of yourself. That is where the power lies. And that's why a lot of individualists or like libertarian-minded people want smaller government, because we want to, like, we don't see the idea of bigger government taking care of us. And I've said in my other video that I did on my travel channel that the biggest things that I've seen in these other countries that's considered developing, they have less bigger government, they have less social nets, and sometimes that's a bad thing. But the good thing that comes from that is that they have more community, and their community is self-reliant. You know what I mean? Like, if the road needs to be fixed, they don't wait for the government, they don't wait for the city and state. What they should do their job, they just say, hey, you have an uncle that has gravel and you have another cousin that got tar and you know how to do a road, let's get this road fixed. They're more self-reliant. And like, if there's ever like a zombie apocalypse, I would rather much try to survive with people living in the countryside than ever the people living in a city. The mindset of people who are more self-reliant are just so much different from people who are just more dependent on the government or the city or their state. And that's something I very much noticed since I've been traveling. And when I travel, I live in small countrysides, like in the mountains or beach towns. Not super like in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's still everything I need is around here. But I don't move into cities anymore because it's just the mindset of people, it's just different. And it's really noticeable once you notice it. But the government, bigger governments don't want you to be self-reliant because they want you to be reliant on them so they can have more control over you and control over your food and what you digest. The whole Economic World Forum basically said you would own nothing and be happier for it, meaning you would have to be completely reliant on us for everything you need or want or desire. And the sad thing about the attempt to monopolize on all these other farmlands in other countries by big Western corporations is that one of the things they're going to try to do is say, oh, the way you're farming is wrong. You have to use all these chemicals for pesticides and bugs and all that stuff. You have to use all of these things on your food or it's not going to meet the standards anymore. Basically destroying these people's food. Like, one of the reasons why I like living around here is because of the food and because it's easier to get fresh fruits and produce that's not pumped with chemicals, that's not sprayed. I'm not saying there's no chemicals, but compared to the mass farming industry in the West, it's just much different. And they're trying to destroy that in these other countries, which is sad. And a lot of farmers fought against it, and a lot of farmers, like, off themselves because like they were taking away their livelihood, they were destroying their family's legacy by trying to take their farms away from them and take their land away from them by putting all these rules and mandates and policies in place and red tape in place and stuff like that. I understand there had to be certain food standards to make sure things are healthy, but I feel like in the West it goes too far and it's to the detriment of the people that's ingesting that food. But anyway, let's continue.
Yes, so I understand. So we have to Chit Shakti. First the awareness and then the awareness of the power.
And from there flows the fact that today a conventional farmer might be farming differently. But that farmer is still a human being and that farmer cares for that land. And we have to start connecting that which is common rather than focusing on that which divides us. And I think identity politics of our times is being created by the money machine. Because if I'm a gardener, my identity is a gardener. And this is lovely, you know. When the British tried to create these Muslim-Hindu identities, people would not fill the slot of religion. They would fill the slot of occupation. I'm a gardener. I'm a weaver. I'm a carpenter. And then the British removed the occupation identity. And because we have such mixed identities, people would say I'm Hindu-Muslim because people go to the same shrines. Ajmer Sharif. No, you cannot be both, you know, the excluded middle. That excluded middle and then pitting people against each other is the divide and rule that rulers and empires have always used. And as long as we focus on being Earth's citizens, we are all connected by this beautiful mother. We are all one humanity. And of course we have different skin colors, you know. I'm a woman, you're a man. It doesn't matter. At the end of it, it's our earth being, our earthiness, and our humanity that are our common denominators.
I understand. They create the sort of systems of definition, and with the system of definition, our nature is chaotic and must be controlled. Human beings are chaotic and naturally conflagratory. Human beings will fight. Unless there is a regulatory body that intercedes, you will destroy each other. I think this is one of the things that I'm most dislike, is the misanthropic, and if there is such a word for nature, the hatred of nature and of humanity that underwrites these systems, that people are not beautiful, that nature is not beautiful, because there is complexity in human beings and there is complexity in nature, that nature can't be sentimentalized, that there is pain and death in nature, that these aspects have been bolted on to our inherent tendencies towards fear, our desire for comfort, to turn us, as you say, into these kind of inert occupants of a sanitized and immobile penitentiary where our energy is all vacuumed upward and away from us. But so then you believe, may I ask, Vandana, that the individualized awakening, the individualized awakening, correctly educated and politicized, is the seed, if I may use your metaphor system, for regrowth?
Well, everything begins in the small that makes it. Yeah. The seed becomes the plant. All of these beautiful trees were seeds. And because in every individual, which is interconnected to everything else, the beautiful metaphor in Indian philosophy called Indra's net, that in the node of the net is everything else. Because of interconnectedness and the quantum entanglement, we know that. That was my background. That was my PhD, non-locality in quantum theory. Because we are interconnected, and each of us is not an atom in terms of our individuality and autonomy, we are interconnected, self-organized beings. And as self-organized, we can govern ourselves. As interconnected, a change I make. If a quantum particle can make a change to something light years away, human beings changing themselves can start to change everything. And I do feel that simple act of eating, simple act of taking care of ourselves is part of an embedded web of life. That starts to make the changes. If people eat with consciousness, and they tell those farmers in the Dutch streets, we will eat from you, we will not punish you, we will not complain against you, we will work with you to help you go ecological, so that you and we coexist in the future in a beautiful emerging web. That, I think, is the science. Science tells us that. Ancient spirituality teaches us that. Life teaches us that. And that's why I don't think anyone should become afraid that they are alone. We are never alone. Interconnectedness that can never be taken away from us.
Yes, I see how the sort of what the social conditions that reflect these economic and political ideas are, a sort of a sense of disconnection. This I can speak to personally, that I feel that sometimes that my only power is the power that I can achieve as an individual, grown in this country, grown in this time, colonized at the level of mind already. I felt like my power is the power that I can attain through their methods, through their systems. But it leaves a hangover and a contamination. It's like left me with the sense of separation. And this is in part what I am trying to overthrow in a kind of an inner revolution, to regain integrity with nature, inner and outer, after a sort of a difficult process of self-commodification. Thank you very much, Vandana, for the way that you explained things.
Such a joy, and love.
Thank you, amazing. Well, what do you think? Do you understand the food industry a little better? Will you be a little bit more careful about what you put in your mouth? Will you become more skeptical about cheap foods? Do you think it's possible to organise the food industry differently, even while farmland is being centrally acquired by powerful interests? You know who I'm talking about. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this video. Let me know what you think we should be covering. Let me know where you get your mainstream news.
Alright, that's it, guys. I think, again, if all the farmland is being centralized, it's going to be harder and harder to organize. But I think that the only thing you can really do is educate yourself, research, and support smaller farmers. However, I feel like in the West that's so much harder to do, and it's so much more expensive. A lot of times when things are like local, it's like more expensive. Like the guy who grows the beer locally, the guys who make the wheat locally, it's always more expensive because it's seen as like a trend or a niche or something like that. But here, like in South and Southeast Asia, that is quite easy to do because I literally live next to the farms and I see the food out in the street, at the farm stand, at the fruit and vegetable stands and stuff like that. I like what she said about the sort of separating us through identities. This has been said a million one times, but people still fall for it each and every time, including myself, who like the way that the higher ups control society is to divide and conquer. And now they're even doing that more with gender and sex and sexuality. They're trying to divide us through our political ideologies and stuff like that, instead of, and I think before, where we were more simple, when society was more simple, where your identity was your craft, basically, you're a farmer, you are, you know, a mother or whatever, that was your identity. Now it's your sex, gender, skin color, sexuality, stuff like that, something you don't really have any, mostly don't have any control over. So there's a lack of sense of integrity in that, you know what I mean? But anyway, this video is going on long enough, so I'm going to end it here. Let me know what you guys think in this in the comment section below. If you've learned anything, if you want to spread some wisdom, let us know. I will say also, like, a lot of her belief system is like a lot of Indian people, a lot of the communities feel that way. Not everyone. India is very diverse and big, but that's one of the reasons why I love India so much, because it is a lot more about community, and it's a lot more about preventative health. Keeping yourself healthy and not waiting until you get sick just to grab a pill or something like that. Diet, exercise, connection for mental and emotional and spiritual health and wealth and stuff like that, experiences, family, community. That's one of the reasons why I like this, I love this country. But anyway, guys, tell me what you think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you can donate. My PayPal and Cash App link is in the description box below and sometimes in the comment section. Of course it helps, but you don't have to, because it's like, comment, and subscribe. Another great way to support this channel is either join my brand new membership program, different levels, different tiers, different perks, or you can visit my brand new merch shop, links down below, and links to all of the internet platforms I'm on, my socials, including my Twitter, other ways to support me and other ways to contact me for business is always in the links down below. I also have a second travel vlog channel. I travel as a lifestyle. I live abroad. If you'd like to know where I am in the world, you can go to the description box below, hit the link, go subscribe to my travel vlog channel, and or follow me on my travel Instagram. My stories usually was most up to date. And I also have my other channel, Speak Freely, links down below, and you guys have an amazing day. Bye!